Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited for tonight's episode. We have a very special guest, a licensed life coach that specializes in self-transformation and self-development. She's also my best friend and my mentor. So tonight we're going to be talking about embracing vulnerability. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you, Layan Ezzo. Welcome, Layan. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for doing this with me. I have been so excited to have Layan on the channel. Layan, like I said, is a licensed life coach. She has a lot of input on how to self-develop, how to self-transform, what are the tips and tricks to go about this. And because we're talking about embracing vulnerability today, we want to shed light on how to define vulnerability, what happens when you're vulnerable, how to deal with it, and the importance of embracing it. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I wanted to start off by asking you, how does Layan define vulnerability?
I think Brene Brown puts it in a very, very simple way. And the way she describes it is by the way, she's like the guru of vulnerability.
The queen.
And shame.
Hello, Brene.
And learning just the science behind courage, vulnerability, and shame. And the way she defines it was basically vulnerability is the most accurate way to measure courage. And people usually associate vulnerability with weakness.
Yeah.
And vulnerability being on the opposite end of strength.
Yeah.
Whereas really in reality it takes courage to be vulnerable.
Absolutely. I think, like you said, we've always said that if you speak about your emotions, if you are comfortable with your failures, if you're okay with sharing your experiences, that is something wrong.
Yes.
That's I think a cultural thing. I think people around the world, wherever they're from, sometimes it's the pressure of what do people think, or what are they going to say about me, or what is the opinion that they're going to develop about me if I speak my truth. And I think having the courage to be exactly who you are in front of the world is really courageous. It's hard. It's something that I look up to. If I see someone that embraces their truth, I think that's beautiful. That's strength in itself. So for Layan, when was the time or the turning point in your life where you used your resources, which is when you went into life coaching, to explore or to identify or to realize that you are also vulnerable, just like everyone else? When was that time for you, and why, or what was that contributing factor in your life to open your eyes to vulnerability?
I think in life, I don't know if it happened at a certain time, a specific time in my life, but I know that it did happen. When it happened, it escalated really fast. In life we experience hardships, whether it's in relationships, in the workplace, with loss, with grief. I've experienced loss, recently, and there were times in my life where I found myself to be in this low point, and where I felt like I hit rock bottom. And with every time that I did experience that, I kept going back to the same question: where is the opportunity in this? Because I really believe that there is an opportunity in everything.
Yeah.
And what is this teaching me? So I developed that curiosity, and I kept getting even more and more curious. So as things were happening, things that I couldn't control, I was getting more curious, because I'm in this vulnerable state. There are certain outcomes that are happening that I can't control, but they're still happening anyway.
Yeah.
What can I learn from this? So that was a burning question in my mind, and it led me to learn more about development, which led me to work on myself and to develop myself, and it made me so passionate about self-development, which then led me to explore what life coaching was about, and to take on this new chapter in my life, which was life coaching, and to explore that journey. So now, looking back in retrospect, I look at everything as a stepping stone that actually led me to where I am today. So because I allowed myself to feel vulnerable at some point in my life, it opened up my mind to kind of explore and discover more about myself, and to get to know myself more.
That's so interesting, because from what you're saying, I feel we as humans, we have such ego to not admit that we are not okay. We are going through something, and when you're vulnerable, it's being humble, it's being a human. That's what humanity is all about. And because you've experienced that, you have grown into a beautiful, well-rounded individual, and you wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't experience your vulnerabilities. No one wakes up and is like, this very articulate and knowledgeable person if they don't actually go through the experience. So vulnerability, like you mentioned, is a step for growth. And I think that's what we need to shed light on, this specific topic, and not fear it anymore.
I think there are certain things that have led to where we are today, and it wasn't until recently where these conversations have started to take place. We aren't given textbooks in school about how to deal with vulnerability, and how to deal with our emotions and to understand what happens. We're expected to go out in the world and just deal with whatever we're feeling, and then one day we just experience anxiety or weakness or
fear of change.
All of that was just expected for you to understand, without any preparation. So I think there's not enough awareness about it, and we're just now starting to talk about things like that. I'm literally right now, I'm in a position of vulnerability as I'm speaking to you, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm not very comfortable around the camera. I'm very camera shy. I don't see myself as that kind of person.
She looks beautiful on camera. But she's so comfortable on camera.
But the point of all of this is that I know that I'm feeling all of this. I know I'm vulnerable about this specific thing, but I want to do it anyway. And that's where that whole link is, between if we were to say, again, going back to the definition, weak versus vulnerable. If I were to be weak, I wouldn't be here right now doing this. But I am feeling vulnerable. Despite feeling this, I'm still choosing to face my fear and to take that courageous step. So I think it's really several factors. I think it's just getting used to the idea of normalizing the different states that we go through, whether it's vulnerability or any other emotion. Acknowledging it, understanding it, and really taking it all in, but then doing it anyway.
It's the action. Absolutely.
And then it goes back to Brene Brown, when she says something along the lines of you're gonna fall, you're going to fail, and you will experience heartbreak.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, that's the beauty of life.
Yeah.
You know,
it wouldn't be life.
Yeah, and you wouldn't grow through
Yeah.
everything in life without these factors.
Yeah.
And you know, we've grown up to be protected from whatever would harm us and whatever would you know, cause us pain. Which is understandable, because you know, no one wants to see anyone they love get hurt. Yeah. But you know, it's also a time where you know, it's an opportunity for all of us to look at it from a different angle, and in an unconventional way, and to say, okay, you are gonna go through all of these, but guess what? Because I love you, because of all of this, I'm gonna be here cheering you on, and I'm gonna help you in taking it all in and embracing it, and that's really what's gonna help us grow.
That's beautiful. It's like a caterpillar when it wants to spread its wings and become a butterfly. You know, it struggles, it falls, but then it needs to go by itself and do it. You know, if you don't have the will to, you will never. So I love that. I think that's so powerful, and it's so, you know, it really opened my eyes to going back after this and seeing, you know, what makes me vulnerable and how to overcome my vulnerability and how I can grow from it. I love it. So if you had to go back in time and tell, you know, the little Layan about vulnerability, what would you tell her? How would you encourage her to start younger, start earlier, not wait this long?
I would really just tell her, keep doing what you're doing. Don't feel like you need to resist certain feelings or certain experiences. Life is gonna be a whole journey of, you know, the ups and the downs. And take it all in fully, because you know, you will learn from all of that, and that's what's gonna make you human. We talked about vulnerability earlier, and you mentioned something about, you know, we tend to find shortcuts in you know, having to deal with things, especially if they're hardships. And that's, I think, what's humbling about vulnerability specifically, is that there is no shortcut. And it specifically tells us, you're gonna need to take your time with this one. And I'm gonna let you experience it all, take it all in, but you won't come out of it empty-handed. You will come out of it with a lesson learned.
Absolutely.
And it's such a humbling feeling once you get the grasp of, you know, the full picture. Obviously, when you're, you know, you're experiencing it in the moment, you're just seeing some of it. But once you see the full picture, you're like, oh,
this is interesting.
Light bulb moment.
You know, especially in a fast-paced world. I mean, we don't have the time to sit and reflect, but in a fast-paced world, we need to find the time to sit, because or else we're gonna get caught up in all the noise, and then we lose ourselves if we don't really always, you know, revisit who we are, whether it's our vulnerable emotions, whether it's our experiences, whether it's embracing whatever it is. If we do not sit with ourselves, we are going to get lost in this very difficult world that we live in. So absolutely, there's no shortcuts. There's no way. What's that quote? The only way out is through. And it's a very simple quote, but this is life. You have to go through it. Okay, so I have a really interesting question. So, you know, you're a licensed a life coach. You have a campaign to run, and you want to choose one word where people look at that word and say, this is a campaign that's talking about vulnerability. what would that word be for you?
I think that word would definitely be courage.
Yeah.
Because it defines it all.
Exactly.
I think we we've made up this whole idea in our mind that vulnerability has this face or has this label, but really it doesn't. You know, it's you could see the biggest, strongest person walking past you and you think, oh, this person's so, there's no way this person experiences vulnerability. But in reality, everyone goes through this every single day. We go through it every day. And that's why, again, I go back to the whole importance of, you know, talking about it more, the importance of awareness on such topics, because of those ideas that we've developed in our minds. So courage is it's a word that keeps recurring. I write it down, I jot it down in my notes when I'm like doodling or I'm in the middle of a meeting, or I've always wanted it as a tattoo.
Mom, Dad.
Sorry, you're not supposed to know this. But yeah, I think it's such a powerful word, and it has so much meaning and substance.
And it's very uplifting. Like it's very motivating. Courage, you know, there's a story behind it.
And everyone's story is different. With this word that brings them, like, it's that common denominator, but everyone has a different definition to it.
Absolutely. So coming from, it's a common denominator for everyone, is there a common denominator for people to, you know, if they're struggling to figure out how do they know they're vulnerable or not, or they want to figure out how to deal with it? Is there like a universal rule of how to go about defining what it is for you or tackling it?
I think it's I think it's really unique to everyone. Unlike school, where we're taught things in a very theoretical way and there's like this one-way system around it. These things, especially when it comes to the human emotions, it's really unique and special to everyone, and that's what makes it so beautiful. Everyone has their way. Like, some people seek peace in planting, others in praying, others listening to music. I personally find a lot of freedom and comfort in journaling. But on other days, I just want to lock my room and just cry out all my emotions.
Just let it out.
And then other days, I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling this kind of vulnerable. I'm feeling, like I want to have a good laugh with a few friends. And that's the thing, like, it does not have a face, and it doesn't have a label. And that's, again, what makes it so special, because when it has a face and it has a label, it means there's a certain formula, and then when it happens again, then you need to go through this again. But when it doesn't, it's taking you on a different journey every single time, and you're learning something new about yourself every single time. So it's not linear.
Okay.
So I would really say, really try to tap into what makes sense to you, and what in this time at this point in time, I feel better just talking to someone, whether it's a professional or a friend or a parent. Okay, no, I don't want to talk about it. I wanna just zone out. I want to take some time to travel. It is valid for every single person, and every way that they see is right.
So there's no right or wrong. Okay,
no.
Great. Did you guys get that? There's no right or wrong. It's what you guys feel makes sense for you. You need to really dive deep and ask yourself, what brings me a peaceful moment? How can I forgive myself for the emotions that I'm feeling, for the experiences that I went through, or how can I forgive others? So whatever emotions that you're feeling or whatever experiences that you're going through, each person has a different way of dealing with it. And this is the beautiful advice that we've gotten from Layan this evening. But yeah, I wanted to say, thank you so much for all this, amazing insight on this beautiful terminology, vulnerability. It's such a empowering word. It's such a futuristic way of living, I feel. And I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so grateful, and I really appreciate your time. I'm sure everyone has benefited so much more than we can imagine.
I hope so.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
3, 2, 1, action.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. أكيد لا. Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited for tonight's episode. I have a very Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited for tonight's episode. I have a very special guest, a licensed life coach. There's slippers going down the stairs. There's slippers. Let's just be natural.
Okay.
Take a moment, just to get comfortable.
Should I probably move this?
Yeah.
You're going to fall, you're going to fail, you're going to know heartbreak. You're gonna know heartbreak.
You're gonna know heartbreak.
You're gonna know heartbreak.
And by the way, لازم ارجع صور الانترو لأن أنا كنت حاولة عم بطلع هنيك. فلازم هلا ارجع تذكرت. خلينا since we are doing it again نظبط كل الأغلاط صح؟
Yeah.